Today's markets are evolving. More and more investors are conversing and forming narratives online. And those conversations can influence which stocks move first, which accelerate, and which get second looks. Investor behavior and sentiment have become powerful inputs into how stock prices react. That's the idea behind the VanEck Social Sentiment ETF, ticker BUZZ or BUZZ. The strategy uses AI and natural language processing to analyze millions of online posts in order to identify US stocks with the most positive investor sentiment. And to stay current, sentiment is measured and holdings are adjusted every month so that any shifts in conversations are captured. To show how that plays out, I'll walk through some of the stocks we see inside BUZZ today. Let's start with companies that tend to remain front and center because of the products they build and the platforms they operate. These are the stalwart innovators, names that frequently draw attention. Think Tesla, where the story goes beyond just electric vehicles to include autonomous taxis and freight and even humanoid robots. Tesla continuously pushes boundaries, which keeps it at the forefront and intersection of several high-interest narratives. Netflix, the ultimate media disruptor, is another example of a stalwart innovator, as it continues to define the leading frontier of streaming content and online entertainment. From there, it's important to recognize that BUZZ doesn't pre-pick themes in advance. It reads where sentiment is rising across different corners of the market, which results in adaptive exposures to emerging themes, like in AI infrastructure and adopters, for example, where NVIDIA sits at the core of the stack, powering training and inference for both hardware and a growing software ecosystem. Investor sentiment has also been positive for Palantir, as the company has expanded from defense analytics to broader enterprise AI platforms. Beyond AI, we're also seeing numerous other emerging themes like the budding space industry, for example. Here we see companies like Rocket Lab and AST Space Mobile included as investor conviction builds around the growing demand for mass-to-orbit launch services and satellite design. Interest in nuclear energy has also emerged as companies like Oklo, who's at the forefront of advanced nuclear technology and small modular reactors. Then there's quantum computing with IonQ and D-Wave Quantum, as well as digital assets with Coinbase and Strategy. Each of these themes illustrates the adaptive nature of sentiment and its ability to pick up on new and emerging investment themes. But it's also worth noting that sentiment doesn't only uncover emerging themes. Sentiment can also surface contrarian opportunities, or those moments when companies that have gone through real setbacks see their share prices fall so far that investors start to question whether the sell-off has gone too far. When the narrative shifts from avoid to this may be overdone, that change in tone shows up clearly in the conversation, and BUZZ can capture it. Take Boeing, for example. After a stretch of negative headlines surrounding plane groundings and regulatory scrutiny, the shares of Boeing fell hard. As remediation plans and operational clarity appeared, online discussion shifted from avoidance to maybe overdone. Another example is United Health. As Trump's tariff rhetoric picked up and he took a tougher line on healthcare and pharmaceutical pricing, the shares of United Health were marked sharply lower. But the magnitude of the drawdown reached a point where investors began to view the stock as a contrarian opportunity. That pivot from negative to constructive can push names into BUZZ when sentiment turns positive and a potential turnaround comes into view. So, pulling it all together, BUZZ leverages the conviction of the crowd and provides an adaptive lens to stock selection that uncovers opportunities across the market, including within stalwart innovators, new and emerging themes, and even contrarian stocks that may be overly punished. It's a rules-based approach designed to evolve with the market narrative rather than stick to rigid categories. If you'd like to learn more about BUZZ or stay up to date on the current holdings, visit vaneck.com/buzz.